Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Tyler. Today on Wood Nerds, I'm gonna go over the Ortur Laser Master 2 Pro Diode Laser. Yeah, silly name, I know. This is my first experience with the laser. It was provided to me by a company, and I will link in the description below where you can find and purchase this at. I will get kickback from that. It's a small amount, but if you decide to purchase one and you use the links that I have in the description, it'll help the channel out, so thank you if you do. But I'm gonna go through a couple projects. I made this really cool little Bowie knife. Actually, in my previous video, I built a dog kennel, and their dog's name is Rambo. And so I got a cool design online and printed this out with Rambo's name on it. This is just like I actually looked up Rambo knife, I think, or Bowie knife, and just put a little design together. This is pretty cool. It'd be like a nice ornament or something on a tree, or just a tag that they could hang on the kennel and have his name. It was an opportunity to try the laser out, and I thought it was relevant. So pretty cool. The other thing that I did was my brother had a birthday recently, and so he's been getting into brewing, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to try and make a sign as well. And I thought this came out pretty good. He's really happy with it, so hey, happy birthday, man. So this is another really cool thing that this laser could be used for, and I'm gonna show you how I did both of those. Just to start off, the laser's not really meant to be cutting through a lot of thick material. That is not this type, that's not the type of laser that this is. It will, I'm sure it will cut through, like this is 5 mil. I'm sure it would cut through this, but the amount of time that it would take to cut through that wouldn't really, I wouldn't do that. That's not, yeah, it's not really meant for that. It will cut through some of this more thin stock stuff, and I will link in the description where I got this as well. Keep in mind though, again, I don't want to mislead you guys. I want to be completely upfront and honest with you. When you buy these packages, the plywood, the little craft boards or whatever these are, they're fairly warped. I didn't really have a problem. This is actually a laminate of about, I think it's 4 pieces, and it's really straight and flat. I did glue it and clamp it to the table though, but I don't really have, I mean, for what these are, they seem to be fine for me, for what I'm doing. One last thing, another point that I really want to touch on is safety with this before we get into it. Number one, you want to make sure and protect your eyes. The glasses that came with this are complete. Do not use them. When I used it, at the end of the night, my eyes were hurting like I had been welding for hours. So I'm actually kind of pissed that they would include something like this in here and give you some sort of like false sense of security. So do not use these. But I did some research and I found some that seemed to help. Full disclosure, don't trust me, do some reading for yourself, but I'll include these in the link below. These are free mascot. Some things that you want to consider from the reading that I did are the optical density of the lenses. This has an optical density of 6, which seems to be sufficient for this application. And the wavelength of the laser versus the wavelengths that the lenses block. I believe the term is nanometers. The wavelength of this laser is 450 plus or minus, and these glasses block in a range of 190 to 490. So I'm gonna put a video in the description of a guy that goes over this stuff. He's way more knowledgeable about this than I am, and he recommended these glasses as well. So, but again, please do your own research. Don't trust me. I'm just a jackass in my garage burning. Okay, so, but they seem to be pretty good quality. The reviews that I read said they were trash, but I like them. Another dimension of safety that I really want to cover here is the items that you're burning things into. So the craft wood that I use here seems to be okay. Again, please don't trust me. I'm just an idiot. But this plywood seems to be okay, but you want to be careful. Some plywoods that have like really nasty adhesives, that could be really bad for you to breathe. When I burned these, I had the garage door open, I had a side door open, and I had my fans blowing. And I hid in a spot where I wasn't getting any of that smoke. So if you're gonna be doing this, please follow something like that, or build an enclosure with an extractor that'll suck all the air out and put it somewhere where no one's gonna breathe it. Oh, and plastics. So this, you can burn images into plastics and all this other stuff and paints and all that. But be careful, make sure you know what you're doing, because some of those plastics can release chlorine gas, which is absolutely deadly. So it's serious business. Don't screw around, do a lot of reading, figure it out before you go killing yourself or your family or something. And to that point, I would really highly recommend whatever you burn in a spot that has a ton of ventilation. You don't want to be I don't even care if you're just burning, hickory or something like that. It's not good to be breathing all that smoke. The second safety aspect I would say is people that are walking by, you also don't want them to catch eye of this laser. So I had my workbench all the way up against the wall, and I put some of these storage boxes that I have here in the way, and my truck is parked out there and my wife's car is parked out there, and you couldn't see. I went out and I checked, so that's another piece of safety. You want to make sure that nobody walks by, because they'll look, I'd look, and it could be very, very bad for your eyes. So just another thing to consider. Let's go ahead. I don't want to talk too much. I know I've really been jabbering on. Let's get into the couple projects that I did, and then we'll wrap this baby up. All right, so this is the program I use for burning. This is called Lightburn. And what I'm going to start with is a little test pattern. This will let me know how the power relates to the speed with the laser. Pretty cool. And another feature of this is you can frame out your project, and that way you can tell that it is inside of your work area that you want it to be in the right composition. What I'm showing you here really quick is that I have things blocked off. I went outside to test to make sure that nobody could see the laser as it runs. You just want to make sure you're safe that way. I put in my piece of plywood and then run my little frame program, just again to make sure that I have it in the right workspace. And before I start burning and all the smoke goes up, I have my fan going. That'll help blow everything out. Now, this is just a test pattern just to kind of figure out, the power and speed and how I want that to work out. And I just kind of kept that on the side. What I'm doing now is I'm working on the sign. I laid down a bunch of blue painter's tape on an already pre-stained piece of plywood, lay it out, and then really push really hard and make sure that there's no air or anything in there. I put some double-sided tape on it, laid it down on my grid, and now I'm tracing out to make sure that my pattern that I have set up on the computer matches, really the orientation that I want the design to be printed out on. And right here, it's exactly what I wanted. What I'm about to do also is it comes with that little metal piece there. That actually determines the height that you want the laser to be for the perfect focus, and that way the laser burns most effectively. And then here's my design on the computer, and then here it is actually cut out on the tape. So now what I'm going to be doing is removing the pieces of the tape and basically using it as a stencil, and that way I can paint any of the empty gaps in. And I'm going to use, basically, this is called a preview mode, so you can right click over here, change it to fill, and then click preview, and it'll show you what the outcome's supposed to be like. So I'm going to use that kind of as a guide as to what pieces I want to remove the tape on, and they'll be filled with paint afterwards. And I just used a little thumb pin to start. I ended up using a scalpel, and I'll link in the description a really cheap, nice set of craft scalpels that I got. But here it is. So now you can see again, this is where I'm going to want to be painting. I ended up getting a little bit of bleed through. So what you're gonna wanna do first before paint is hit it with like some polyacrylic or whatever, you know, your final seal is gonna be, and then paint over it and it won't bleed through. But give it a little bit of time. You don't want this to sit overnight. You want it to still be a little bit wet. And after I removed it, it looked really nice. Now I'm gonna be working on the frame. Start with a test piece always, and then you can run all of your additional frame pieces through. And then at the very end, you're gonna move your fence over a little bit and run your test piece through, and then test it on the plywood to see if it fits. Once you know that it fits, like this one does here, you then run your original frame pieces through, and this is how you make cabinet doors and all kinds of other cool stuff. I use this for drawers for the drawer bottom also. Went over to the miter saw, cut 45 degrees. My miter saw sucks, so it wasn't perfect, but threw some glue in the groove, spread it around a little bit, and then put the grooves on the plywood, pretty obvious. Clamp it up, let it sit overnight, and then I also hit it with a couple nails. That way it would hold really well. Sand down the edges so everything fits perfectly and there's no weird stuff. Vacuum off all of the dust and then seal it. I used polyacrylic again, and I'll link this in the description so you know exactly what I used. I put 3 coats on, not really necessary. 2 coats or 1 coat would probably be okay since it's not really like a wearing item. And that's it, man. Came out really good. I'm really happy about it. Started with my knife design. This was really easy. So what I did is I cut out one full pattern with the internal designs included, and then I cut out 4 blanks without any of the actual like etching on the inside. I tried to use the salt trick so it wouldn't slide around when I'm gluing these together, but it like immediately ruined one of the pieces. So don't do that. Don't use salt for this. But clamped them to the table or my bench, let them dry overnight, and then I added a little eye hook there, and I sanded most of the burn pieces off and evened it out. But it turned out really cool. And they're, I'm gonna provide this so they can hang it as like an ornament, or even on the kennel, like I was saying, the previous build that I made. I added some polyacrylic to this baby and then let it sit there and hang overnight. Turned out really nice, man. This is just a neat little present or gift for somebody. Oh, another thing, I didn't actually film this, but I added 1/2-inch squares or grid to the plywood base, and that way I had a reference point to the computer on setting things up. But here are just some cool shots, just so you kind of know what you're getting into, what you're looking at. This little cord management system is really cool. I can't remember what they call it, but it's really nice. It keeps the cords nice and neat off to the side. Here's the emergency stop and the flame sensor. Here's how you focus. Again, just some additional info for you. Here's the end result of my buddy's tavern or brewing sign. He doesn't have a tavern, or he just started brewing, but love that guy. I figured I'd make him a cool present. Another tip for you, if you don't want to ruin your grid pattern, you can use other material underneath the item that you're burning so that when it burns through, it doesn't ruin your grid. And there you go. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this. If you guys want to see more projects like this one, I do have some additional signs that I think that I want to play around with. I kind of want to cut out a lot of, use this guy and just cut out 1 letter per piece and make like a really big sign. Those are typically pretty expensive, so I think that would be pretty cool to try out, see if I can get something interesting going there. Let me know if you guys have some other ideas for projects like that, or if you want to see more things, involving lasers or CNC machines. I might reach out to some other companies and see if I can get some sort of sponsorship that way and try out some more things. I don't do a lot of tool reviews, but I do have some more coming up. So if you guys like this stuff, please let me know about that as well. I have some drills, new table saw, And I think I'm gonna be getting a new miter saw here pretty soon, so I'll let you guys know how that turns out. If you're still watching, just wanted to thank you guys. This is the part of the video I'm starting to include going forward where I show a little bit of appreciation for the people that support me. I have 2 new supporters this time around. Tim, thank you, brother. I appreciate you supporting me. He jumped over to the Patreon site and he's supported me monthly with a contribution that way. Dude, it means a lot. And then to my brother Tyler, happy birthday, man. Thank you so much for the beer. If you're the type of person that would take somebody out for a drink if they helped you with something, or you like something that they did, you want to buy them a drink, that's what I'm offering here. Please don't feel obligated to do so. But if you like any of the things that I have going on, you want to support the channel somehow, I'd love to cheers with you guys. So, hey, thank you to my new supporters, and thank you to any future supporters. Cheers, you guys. Woo, that one was full. Oh yeah. Well, oh Jesus. I know it may seem like I do this a lot. I swear to God, I don't really drink that often. I have like a couple glasses of wine or something, but I thought this was a fun way to connect with you guys. If you guys want to support the channel like Tyler and Tim did today, you want to cheers with me at the end of a video and get a shout out, you can do so with the information in the description below. I've got Venmo, I have Cash App, and also Patreon if you're looking to support the channel every month. Tim just jumped on as a Patreon, thank you. Appreciate that, man. I try to make everything as available as possible. I'm not withholding any measurements. I'm giving you guys all the dimensions up front, everything that all the information for the plans of the items that I'm building. That way you don't have to go buy a plan later on. It's all free to you. If you guys appreciate stuff like that and you want to buy me a drink, hey, I'd love to have you. That's really it for today. If you guys want to check out some more of my videos, I'm sure there's some things here that you can click on. Thank you again for hanging out with me. I'll see you next time. I'm a little buzzed. Whoops.